So my name is John Cornetta, and I've been an internet marketer since about 2009, and I've been in business for myself. Oh, I think since I was probably 14 or 15. I've held only very very few jobs. I've always worked for myself. And in 2009, I got a little interesting story. I think I usually share this one. People might have heard of it, but so I was in another business from 1990 till about 2009 or 10. And I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and I moved with $700 to my name, and I slept on the floor for 2.5 years. And I built a company that ended up doing $12 million a year. I employed 300 people. I had 12 to 14 various locations, and I did really, really well. And then in 2008 and 2009, I started partying a little bit too much, and the financial crisis hit, and I was way overextended, and I ended up selling my companies at kind of a fire sale and was looking for the next thing to do. And at the time, I got approached by a network marketing company, and they were like, "Can you help us?" I'm like, "I don't do network marketing. I'm not doing this stuff." And they're like, "No, no, no. This is all online." And I was already doing some of the online stuff for my companies. I had just learned how to build web pages, and I knew how to email. We're talking, from 2000 into 2009 or 10. And while I'm doing this online stuff, a guy is teaching me this who had launched some ClickBank products. I had no idea what that was. And he's showing me around, and he's just showing me this video of these guys playing foosball, and they're having a good time. And he's like, "Oh, this is Michael Same." And he basically said the words like, "Don't worry, don't, like he's like the biggest there is. You probably won't ever even meet that guy. Just like lower your focus." And the kind of person I am in all the industries I've ever been in, that doesn't fly well with me. And I was like, oh, okay, watch what happened. So the next thing I saw was the marketers cruise, and that the marketers cruise was coming up, and I wanted to get on that cruise somehow. And it was sold out. And so for the next 6 or 8 months, I just worked on what I was doing, and I built during my first 14 months online, I built an email list of 400,000 subscribers in 14 months. And I didn't know really that was special at the time. And I built this big list, and I was starting to sell traffic. And I'm going to round two stories here. So what happens is about a week before the marketers cruise goes off, my sister, who happens to work for Carnival, says, "Hey, there's an opening. There's a room. You can get on the ship." And I'm like, "Get me in there." So I snuck into all the rooms where Mike and Lou were, and nobody had any idea who I was. But Mike, prior to this, had just started buying some traffic from me, and he found me. And so within the span of like 14 or 15 months of coming online, not only did I do this first thing, building that list, but I take action. I sneak onto the cruise. I'm a stowaway, basically, on the marketers cruise. And Lou busts me and made me pay like $400. But I got to meet Mike, and just within a few weeks, Mike was on stage at an event for Trey Smith, mentioning that he bought traffic from me, and my traffic business was already doing really well, and it went even crazier. So I got to meet Mike, and from 2009 or 10 until 2014, I sold traffic, and I sold traffic to some of the top names in this industry. I know list building really, really well, and I sold a tremendous amount of traffic. I had just Rich, who's probably listening right now, I've sold traffic to, and Mike and Matt Basak, and just a bunch of other guys. And I was their back behind the scene guy that could send them over the top on some things. And then in 2014, I kind of got bored with that and decided that I wanted to sell physical products. And the thing was, it was really, really hard for me to explain to people what I did for a living. It's hard to explain it now, right? And I take these sites, and then I build them, and I get people to come in, and I sell that visitor back to somebody else. And it was just very hard. So I said, let me just try to sell something. And I was working with Frank Salinas, who works with Groove now. And we decided we were going to start selling t-shirts online, 2014. And we had like 23 losers in a row. We couldn't sell a t-shirt to save our life. And we were like getting frustrated at each other. And we're like, let's split up. We're friends, but you sell your shirts there and I'll sell my shirts here. Like, all right, fine. And my next shirt, I sold like 50 shirts. And I was like, wait a minute, this can be something here. It's still not enough to replace my traffic, but this can be something. And then throughout that year, I ended up selling $1.7 million in t-shirts on Facebook. And are you guys still here with me? Because I just see myself. I'm like, am I just talking to myself? You guys are okay. Good, you're here. Okay.
I'm here. I just wanted the guys to have full attention on you because your story is amazing.
So 2014, thank you. 2014, I'm selling shirts. I'm selling them Frank in the beginning, and I start selling them on my own. And I guess around 2015 and 16, I move into other print-on-demand items, right? Mostly sneakers. And so I'm still doing email traffic. I'm still building some lists. I got sites out there. And when I went into sneakers, I built that up to I was doing $30,000 to $50,000 a day in the sneaker sales. I was selling 500 pairs of sneakers a day online, and it was like, it was really, really good money. But not only that, I got to learn e-commerce, and just like everything else that I've ever learned, I never really went and took a course and followed step by step. Never in any business I did. I just said, I'm diving in, all in. I want to make mistakes. I want to learn from those mistakes and see where it goes. So that became my e-commerce. And then during this time also, I was creating software. I created the Click Maximizer with Frank Salinas, which was like the rotator, IP-based, cookie-based first one on the scene that would take traffic and move it from one buyer to the next. You could send out an email. This was revolutionary at the time. You could send out an email and the subject line or the actual product flunked, and you had 400,000 emails out there or 100,000 emails, and you were done. The email was already sent. But with this software, we could change the link in the email after it was sent out, and we could do a bunch of other things. So we developed that, and then we developed one that would actually get people's first name from databases. So you could just use the email address on an opt-in form and then let the software find their first name later. So you could still use the first name tag, but you could increase your conversions by having just ask for email. And so a couple other ones. And then I started doing some coaching. I was doing some e-commerce coaching and list building coaching and all that stuff. And there was an event in Tampa in 2015 perhaps. And at that event, I met Matt Serralta, and Matt was there, and he was kind of, he had e-com background and a software background, and he was just learning a little bit more about e-com, and he was working for another company at the time, and we met. It was no big deal. And about 6 months later, something kind of fell through with those guys that I was working with, and I got a call from a guy named Frank Boddicker, and Frank said, "Hey, Matt Serralta, would like to talk to you, a guy you met in Tampa." And I said, talk to Matt, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to fly to Atlanta. I got some business to take care of in Atlanta, and let's have lunch." And we had lunch, and Matt and I actually began the process of what Groove Card is today, and that was, I think, 2015 or early 16. And we were just kind of, moving that along, and we had some ideas for what our print-on-demand app is now. That was a different name back then too, and we started kind of doing that. And then I think Mike, I kind of caught the end of Mike's story. I was always talking to Mike over the years, and Mike and I always were buddies and did a little bit of business here and there. And then Frank Salinas calls me up one night and says, "Hey, John, there's this software company for sale, and I really don't want to buy it. I just want to kind of broker the deal. Can I introduce you?" And I cannot remember the name of this. It's going to kill me, but maybe Frank will message it in here or Mike will remember. So I look at it for a second, and I'm like, you know what? I could do this. It's like 25 grand they wanted or something like that. But do I want to do this alone? So I just saw Mike at Omar Martin's event where both Mike and I were speaking. And I call him up, and I'm like, "Hey, man, this thing is for sale. and I just want to get your opinion on it. And about halfway through the conversation, Mike says, so are you asking me to be your partner? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I'm all excited. We're going to, 10 years, right? 10 years of me working with Mike and knowing Mike, and maybe we're going to partner finally. The guy that I was never going to meet, right? Like I wasn't even to meet this guy. And so we do a video, a Skype call or something, and we see the software. And I get a phone call like an hour later from Mike, and he's like, hey, man, I don't want to disappoint you or anything, but I'm going to have to take a pass. And the software is never going to be what Kartra was, and I was really looking forward to working with you, but just can't do it. And I'm like, okay, all right, so whatever, this is not going to happen. And then Mike called me back, and he's like, man, I still want to do something with you. He just opened the door again. And so that's when I said, well, you know what? There's something else. Let me show you what me and Matt Serralta have been working on. Mike, for the last, whatever it was at that time, 3-4 years, I've been doing e-commerce. Let's take a look at this. And he said, yeah, okay. So I called up Matt and said, look, I'm going to introduce you to this guy, Mike Bilsame. I started explaining who Mike was. And if he likes it, Matt owned 100% at that time, right? I was in for a little piece, and we're going to have to, cut this pie differently. And so me and Matt and Mike and Joe Jablonski got on a Skype call, and we demoed to Mike at the time, which is now GrooveCart. And Mike calls me afterwards and said, this is it. This is the thing that we it needs a lot of work, and we got to change this stuff up, but this is what we can build from. We can do this. And so over the course of the next few months, we discussed it. And then Mike flew out from San Diego here in Boca Raton, and Matt came down from Atlanta, and we all met at the Embassy Suites, I guess, real early 2016. And we formed what today everyone here knows as Group. Yeah. So this may sound a little philosophical, but this is what I used to tell my students. I would say, walk into a mall. It's a little different now, there's COVID, I get it, but walk into a mall and you see these carts that are right in the middle of the mall, and the people have 1 or 2 products, and they're stopping you along the way and shoving stuff in your face. And then along the sides of the mall, you have these really strong store brands. And then on the ends, you have these anchors, right? You have Dillard's and Macy's, and used to be J.C. Penney's, Sears, things like that. And those people that are on the end sell everything. You can walk into a Dillard's or a Macy's, and you can buy perfume for your girlfriend, and you can buy a dress, and you can pick up a hand tool, and you can buy a pair of jeans, anything you want. And they have the money, and they have the brand name to do that. And then along the sides, you'd start to notice they sell a little bit less, but it's still, you can get a variety of things. You can walk into a candle shop and you can get a candle, but also a piece of jewelry. And then you might be able to get a cigar box, and it's kind of the same theme, but it's a lot of different products. But down in the middle, usually it's one product or one product type. And there's a reason for that. And it's budgeting, and it's space, and it's eyeballs. So when you're starting out, unless you're going to fund your online store like a Macy's or a Dillard's, you don't need to have every single product under the sun. And if you have about a medium budget, and you have a business plan where you can go ahead and you can stretch it out over a period of time, you might do some multiple products. But what I recommend to most people is pretend that you're that cart in the middle of the mall, and come up with just 1 or 2 or 3 products and go all in. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, easy. Clear the shelves of that little cart and go with 1 or 2 or 3 more. Now, there's now another layer to that. Here's the big mistake people make is they just try everything. And I'll fill up the whole store, and there's nothing there. It's not the time that you bring the customer in the store that makes you money. It's the time that you bring them back, and it's the other things that they buy while they're there. And if there's no rhyme or reason to it, you're not going to win in e-commerce. So that's my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice is to find something that makes someone go, wow, I really need that. Wow, that's me. Or wow, I've been looking for that my whole life. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, you don't. What you do is You find that need, you find that person, you find that niche, and then you find the product. People always go out and look for products to build an online e-commerce store and then go find their customer. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. Go find your customer, go find the avatar, go find, most importantly, the Facebook targeting and the advertising targeting, know that you can get to that customer, and then find out what that customer needs. See, I want to sell snow shovels to people in Alaska. I don't want to sell snow shovels and then open a store in Fort Lauderdale and think, why is no one coming into my store? Why? Because I targeted the wrong product to the wrong customer to begin with. So if I can give them anything, it's find that avatar, find that person and what they need, and then go find that product and sell it. Really important, man, is I've never started a store. I never sold a product that I didn't go on to Facebook first and go find the targeting and nail the targeting down and say, there is a market. It's not being served. This is the niche. Now I'm going to go create or find a product for them. And when I do that, it's game over every time. That's the best piece of advice I can give you in e-commerce.
That actually makes sense. Find your audience, find their problems, and sell them solutions. So, what would you say about the? We get this asked a lot. How do I start finding my products? Like I don't have a product. I can start in drop shipping. I can start with print on demand. How do I find my customers with either drop shipping or print on demand? Like I get with the drop shipping, it's now easier with your analogy of this mall and everything. But for example, I want to start a print on demand store with t-shirts. Who are the customers? Would it be the same thing? Would it be the same mindset that you would apply there as well?
Yeah. So look, I love print on demand and I love drop shipping. And I think that they work hand in hand. And you can find that product that you would drop ship. You would find that person first, that target audience. You would find that product that fits them that you can drop ship. And then you can build all around that kiosk with print on demand items for that item. Give you an example. So I always like to do when I do print on demand, especially t-shirts, is have 2 to 3 layers of my targeting, because no one wants a t-shirt that says, I'm cool. I'm cool. Okay, I can get that t-shirt anywhere. I get it. I'm cool, right? But I am a cool Italian Irishman who lives in Florida. Now I'm like, wait a minute. That's me. They just called me out on their advertising. And Facebook will allow you to do that. They'll allow you to target people who like Italian and Irish pages, who live in Florida and who think they're cool. So now I create a print on demand product around that. But let me go one step further. Let's say that my drop shipping idea is for firefighters. And I have a tool that every firefighter needs. I'm making this up. And it's a small little thing that they stick in their boot, and it takes away all the moisture from their boots. And every firefighter in the world needs it. Like, I found that product and I'm going to drop ship it. I'm never going to leave my store there. I'm going to lead with that. But when they hit that page, they're going to have every single firefighter print on demand item I could possibly have. Why? I want to make it fun for them. I told you earlier, it's never the first product they buy. It's the second, third, and fourth. And print on demand costs me nothing. It doesn't exist until the person buys it. So getting a person into your ecosystem, getting them into your store, into your digital space, anything, that's just half the battle. It's monetizing them throughout and servicing them throughout.
That's a great answer, actually. For the people that wanted to start out with with e-commerce funnels, have you tried something with that? E-commerce funnels, like selling e-commerce but in a funnel type of a way?
Yeah, I've done that on Shopify, and I've done that in GrooveCart. I mean, look, it always is, right? I'm not going to sell you a sneaker without selling you a pair of socks, and I'm not going to offer you I'm not going to offer you the shirt. And there's another little trick here. It might be slightly off, but people don't monetize their data. They just don't. Okay, so I sold all those T-shirts for all those years, right? So I had a list of all my buyers. This is just one little hack I'm going to give you that shouldn't be me coming up with this crazy hack. Well, do you think if I knew the customer and I sold them a T-shirt, do you think I knew if they were skinny or they were heavy? Yeah. Oh, I did, David. If they bought a small shirt, I was pretty sure they weren't heavy. And if they bought a triple extra large, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they were heavy. So I took everyone who bought extra large, double X, triple X, and 4X shirts. I separated them into an audience, and I went to a CPA network and I bought weight loss products. And I sent every single one of those people an email for weight loss products. Had nothing to do with the t-shirt, but I knew what my data needed. So, having an online store is not as simple. It's simple, but it's not as simple as saying, I'm going to put up a product and it's great. And oh my God, everyone's going to want this pumpkin because it's Halloween time that my wife put on my desk. Not that simple. But if you do buy that pumpkin and they buy that pumpkin, perhaps they like pumpkin seeds. And so I'm saying it's just a never ending thing in ecom. You got to dig into the data, make sure that you're selling people multiple products, servicing them. But it all starts again with finding that niche first and then finding the product. People always want to find that product first. It's never the product.
That's actually a great answer, because there are people, for example, I don't know who this Facebook user is, but do you have your own print on demand? Mind if you share? I believe what people are looking is for answers and shortcuts, but what you're talking about is there are no shortcuts. You need to test and actually dive into data to find what works for the audience that you're targeting, I believe. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yes, David, that is. And if people go into the Groove Academy, they'll see early trainings from me where I teach print on demand and I show my winners and why they were winners, and it will open up their eyes and give them thoughts. I will tell you this, it's the great equalizer. E-commerce is the great equalizer. Mike has said this many times. You don't have to be on camera. You don't have to say stuff. You don't have to talk. You don't have to be a celebrity. It's a great equalizer. So if someone else is doing well in e-com and you're not, you're just not putting in the work. You're not taking these steps and you're not willing to fail enough. I told you, Frank Salinas and I think it was 22 in a row. But who stays with something for 22 times? We lost like 50, 60, 80, $100. Just lost it. It would have been very easy for us to say, this is not working. We got to go back. And it was just the 23rd one that worked. And when it worked, we didn't change anything. I didn't change anything after that 23rd time. Yeah, we changed it along the way a little bit. But after the 23rd time, we saw it work. We both went like, oh, we can do this. And we had this newfound confidence, like we started to expect it to work, and it worked. And so the person that wants to see my print on demand, no. When we started Groove, I decided I was going all in on the software, and I don't have stores up, and I built actually one for my son and my daughter. They have a store right now, and it's just they sell some flags. I think we've sold 2 flags, right? So it's not a big thing. I wanted them to just kind of get the bug a little bit. They're 10 and 6. So no, but if you go into Groove Academy, there's tons of training and tons of things on ecom.
That's great. I do have one question that I would like to get your point on. So this is a strange one maybe, but how rich can you get from e-commerce? Is it capped? What would you say to this?
I would say how rich is Jeff Bezos? He's in e-commerce. It's what he does. He's the richest man in the world. So I don't know, as rich as Jeff Bezos? Seriously, he started. He didn't start e-commerce, right? But he started out selling books and realized, what did he do? He started selling books. Then he realized that what his data was, what these people. He did exactly what I just said to do earlier, and he scaled it and he scaled it.
Now, what would you say about branding on a store? Is branding necessary when you're selling print-on-demand products? One design is this way, one design is that way, and a lot of stores do this. But do brands, in your opinion, matter when you're new? Should people be going out there looking for logos, looking for their brand colors and things like this? Is this something that you would point out as a necessary thing on the beginning?
No. And, I'll tell you why. One, it costs a lot of money to be able to use those brands and things like that. And when people are doing print on demand, they want stuff that's cool. And let me tell you something that somebody, and I'll give you some hints here, some things that people can never trademark or copyright. A country. You put a country flag and name on a sneaker in a unique way and only target people from that country that don't live in that country. This is important. So they're expats, right? They're from the Czech Republic and they're living in Germany. They're probably even more patriotic. They want to show their patriotism, and you target those sneakers there. So what I do is instead look. So what branding does is it creates an anchor inside of people for a product and a service, and they spend more money than you can. So people are used to it. They see it. They want it. But that is also true in a lot of other ways. Your nationality, your race, your religion, just start to think about the things that are branded organically to people and target them that way. This Italian girl loves New York on a T-shirt. I'm making that as an easy one. I feel like I repeated myself from 10 years ago, but this Italian girl loves New York, and only target Italian women who are living in New York is just as powerful as selling something with a brand on it when you build it really nice. That's how print on demand works. Print on demand is making the item that they're about to print on demand so unique to them that it's no longer buying, it's a necessity. I have to have that. Is me. I gotta have that.
That's an awesome answer. So just to summarize for the viewers, what John just said is it's not necessary to brand it yourself like David Lemon and then I do some kind of crazy stuff. It's easier to start with an organic brand like religion and ethnicity and things like this. This is already branded. People already feel a part of these things, and if you market to that, it's not something you have to create. It's already created. You just target those people, and this is actually brilliant. I never thought about that. So thank you very much for that.
Sure, man. Sure.
I do want to ask, what do you think the number one reason why people never reach success with e-commerce is? What do you see in this industry? Why people fail?
Well, I kind of read that question there from Angie Norris. Angie, how you doing? Didn't say ecom on the end, but I'll make it ecom or anything else. And I don't know, Greg, because I'm not successful yet. And so I think that me always having that attitude that I'm not successful yet, some people might look at me and say, hey, he's pretty successful. And so I'm always humbled enough to know that, David, you know more than me at something. And so does everyone else that's watching this. But I don't know. Look, I continue to work. I have coaches that I meet with. I have people that I go to and learn from, and I read, and I constantly listen to audiobooks. And I just don't think that people want. I used to tell all of my employees and students at the time a saying that nobody liked to hear, and it was so true. And that is, being broke is easier than the road to success. It's so much easier. It's so much easier to just say, I'm good. I'm just going to watch TV and I'll just chill out and I can do my thing. I'll get to that later. I'm not going to the gym. I'm not going for my walk. I'm not going to put in that extra time. I'm not going to build that extra thing. It's just easier. And so, and look, no judgment. Go for it. Enjoy your life if that's what you're enjoying. So the frustrating part for people is, I'm not successful, but I don't want to put in the work. I asked my son today, I said, hey, I went on a 5-mile walk this morning. And when I got done with 3 miles, I came and grabbed some water. I said, do you want to do the next 2? And he goes, nah, and that's okay, right? It's okay for him because he's going to be 10 years old. And so most people just say that they want certain things. And then when they realize the work that's involved, listen, I wanted to be a professional football player. And I played high school football, and I played semi-pro football, and I got knocked down so many times. And I said, I don't want to do that no more. I did it for 5 or 6 years, and I don't want to do it anymore. And it doesn't mean I'm not successful. It just means my goal changed, my value changed. So I think my short answer in e-commerce or anything else is, they've underestimated the amount of work that it takes, and they've also underestimated the allotted time. There is so much time. Like, so much time. I'm already 35. Okay. So you have 20 years and you'll be younger than me after those 20 years. Like, it's so long. Like, if you just incrementally did it, everyone wants microwave. I'm going to put this in the microwave, set it for 2 minutes, and I'm going to eat. It doesn't exist. It's very rare. And so what you need to do is you need to get a slow cooker, a slow pot, and slowly build it up and just build it up and build it up. And remember, another thing I'll tell you, it's always about relationships. It's always about how you treat people. It's always about the information you can draw upon. I couldn't have helped start Groove if I didn't have 10-year relationship with Mike, if I didn't have a 2-year relationship with Matt Seralta, if I didn't have an e-com background, if I didn't have a background on all the times that I was in lawsuits and suit and all those other things, this wouldn't be here. And it wouldn't be here if they didn't have their experiences and their relationships as well. And so it's so important to do that. And guess what? People want to hang out and be friends with other people who are into what they have, into what they're into, have knowledge, and are working something. So even though you think you're not successful, you are successful if you just stay in the game and keep pushing. That's the key. You have all the time in the world.
That is actually true. If you think about it, like everything you said, I believe this needs to be a poster. It makes so much sense. I do have one big question though, and I believe everybody watching this one will benefit from this. You made money with GrooveCart, yeah?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You made money as well with Shopify.
Ton.
So if you take the two platforms, what are the benefits and how do you see and why people can they actually make money with GrooveCart? And you as a professional user of both platforms, I believe you can do an honest comparison between the two. So what would you say about what actually people have now inside Groove?
Well, I'm biased, obviously, but you have to understand that when what is GrooveCart today started out with Matt thinking how to make e-commerce better, and then me meeting with Matt saying, I wish at Shopify I had this, and I wish Shopify would do that. And Matt going, yeah, we can do that, and let's do that. And then Matt going, I wish it did this, and going, yeah, let's do that. So GrooveCart was built with an e-commerce person in mind. I was paying Shopify $1,000 a month for my Shopify store because it was ridiculous between apps that some I needed and some I didn't need, and their fees and their price per transaction. I was paying $1,000 a month. I thought this is ridiculous. And I didn't have all of the things I needed. Like, for example, I needed to be able to change my checkout page, and it was an impossibility. And I needed, a countdown, and I didn't want to rely on people for apps. And so what they have with GrooveCart, it would take them $1,000 a month, easy with Shopify. Oh, no, Shopify is $29.99. Really? Okay, go publish a page with Shopify at $29.99. You can't even hit publish. Okay, well, the next plan is $79 a month. Great. You have no apps. You can't collect an email address. You have no countdown timer. You have no coupon code. You have nothing. Oh, well, I'll do the $249 plan. Great. $249. Now you're still going to pay them X amount percentage of every single transaction, period. And you're going to be spending $1,000 a month if you do any volume. This is a fact. So if it was just head to head, financially, it's better to use GrooveCart. But I'm telling you, all of the tweaks and the little things that are needed that you would ever need as a marketer are in GrooveCart. In fact, too much so. In the beginning, we put so much in that it was almost overwhelming, and we've kind of scaled it back. And there's now kind of a beginner version, a pro version, or how we want to word that. But it was too much. It was too much for me after a while. Like I don't know. I went away for 3 weeks and came back and went, oh God, I'm lost in GrooveCart. And so we've kind of scaled that back. But GrooveCart, Shopify, two different things. Shopify, cares about one thing right now, and that's getting more people onto the platform so that they can continue to have those crazy high stock prices. But they're not, they're not e-com guys.
That is actually a good thing because a lot of our users are looking for an honest comparison of Shopify and GrooveCart, and a lot of people out there are actually promoting one or the other of the platforms. In case you just Google Shopify versus GrooveCart, obviously you will find an affiliate link or two in there. So coming from somebody that made money with both of the platforms, and the way you put it, the money savings and the apps and basically the things that benefit you. It's not only you join Groove, you don't only have a Groove card, but you also have Groove pages and things like this. In Shopify, you would need to pay hundreds and thousands per month for that one. So I believe parting with your money is not necessary anymore with all these platforms. So John, I really have no other questions for you. If the people want to learn e-commerce from you the way on a level that you are at this moment, what would they need to do? Will they need to actually spend years in testing? Could they learn this from a course? Or what would you suggest for them to actually do?
I would say, look, go invest, get a Groove Card store, or look, and there's a lot of training I have on both digital and e-commerce. Go into Groove Card Academy and start to read and listen and read and listen. And don't just read and listen from me. There's other things in there from Mike and Matt and from yourself, David. And just look at when I first came online. I sat at a desk similar to this in a chair similar to this for 18 hours a day. It's funny, you think today's, I think it's going to be 18 hours. I did 18 hours a day. I ate pizza over here. I barely got up. I considered putting a bucket here to use the restroom. I swear, that's how intensely sick I was. I would go to the restroom. I'd come back here and I'd go to sleep for 6 hours and I'd come back. And I did that probably for 6 months straight. And all I did was read and watch and watch and watch. And if you really want huge success, you've got to be able to dig in and do that. And look, I paid the consequence that I gained 100 pounds sitting at that desk. I took it off, but put in the work. But right now, the simpler path is to follow someone else who's already done it. And if you sign up for a Groove digital account, you guys are already here. Probably you already have that, or a Groove card account. Get into the academy, learn, ask questions. I'm always in the Facebook group. I'll answer them when I can. If you have a product or something and you want a look at it, don't PM me the product. I won't respond, because if I'm going to, that's one-on-one coaching, which I don't do. So if you put it in the group and you want to show people, I'll be glad to go in there and give you my opinion. I'm going to leave you with one bit of e-com parting advice, since this kind of went the e-com route. You come up with 4 versions of a product and you're not sure which product to sell, or you come up with 4 dropship items and you're not sure which one to sell. Easy. Take an image of them, have all 4. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, like a square, and put a number next to each one. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then go to your target audience, because I know you already have your target audience already ready, because you wouldn't have had a product if you didn't. And run a campaign for $10 or $20 to that, and ask your customers, and put 4 links in there and say, which one do you think is best? I got news for you. All 4 are in your store already with prices on them, because you want even the worst one that somebody likes to be able to go buy it. But you will find out which product you want to continue to promote, and it may be all 4. Okay, so I'll leave you with that. Don't just ask and get tied up on it. Go do it.
This is actually simple, but it's not something that people think about, because, oh my God, like, I should know what I want to sell and what I think is the most important. And they actually don't listen to what people say, what they want to buy. A lot of times when I'm setting up the store, it's my store and I want to sell this, but it's completely the opposite is the importance. So this makes complete sense. So John, you actually dropped value bombs, like and even people are saying, John, we need to have you more on here, because what people can learn from you is just amazing. But as you guys heard, John has a lot of courses, not courses, but videos where he actually built out stores, and he's working on the stores inside the Groove Digital Academy. And if you've logged in on the Groove Card part in Groove Digital Academy, you've probably seen that there is loads of videos. If you scroll down from the bottom, John and Matt and Mike were the people that were starting out creating the content and the courses. And this is where you will be able to learn from John more.
All right, David. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
No problem at all. Thank you very much, John, for tuning in, and then have a good day.